Thanks to sport, we show that we have lots to offer, that we are high performers and that we can realise great things because of our disability.
Strength, speed,
drive,
top performances,
passion,
hard work.
Sport is a lifestyle.
elite,
Emotion,
life,
Humanity,
Courage. Going beyond.
Nothing's impossible.
Welcome to Paris, the host city for the 2024 Paralympic Games. 11 sports were underway on the first day of competition. In these highlights, the defending champions met the world champions in wheelchair rugby. We'll find out why Turkey had good reason to celebrate in their opening goalball contest. And football manager Jurgen Klopp is in Paris to support one particular Paralympian.
Wheelchair basketball got underway at the Paris Paralympics with the bronze medalists from Tokyo 2020, Great Britain, up against Germany in Group A. The honour of representing their countries on the biggest stage evident during the national anthems at the Bercy Arena. The first points of the tournament went to the Germans, Nico Dreimüller finding Thomas Boma for the basket. But Great Britain quickly took control. Greg Warburton scoring 10 points in the first quarter, helping his side to an 18-8 lead. Germany rallied in the second quarter. Matthias Guntner scored the field goal and drew the foul. He made the free throw for a three-point play. Great Britain's lead at half-time reduced to 7. Hopes of a comeback were further boosted after the break when Boma scored the first three-pointer of the game, Germany trailing by 4. But Warburton once again took charge, his 20th point of the game for a lead of 8 going into the last quarter. Team GB developed such a comfortable cushion to even allow a little showboating. James Pratt unsuccessful on this occasion, but scoring the subsequent free throws. So the British opened with a victory by 76-55. Warburton, the star performer, with 24 points.
I don't know if it all came together just yet. We don't want to peak too early. It was definitely a good start for sure. We did a lot of the fundamentals and basics that we want to do that we know if we take care of, come the end of the tournament, we'll be in a good place. It's a super honour. I wish I could say it was getting a bit more normal, but when you come and play in an atmosphere like this and a crowd pretty much packed out, first game at 10 in the morning, it's just an honour.
First of all, it was a very nice game to play in this arena, in this big arena. It was a very hard game against GB. They are a really good team. We were doing like a really good job for some minutes, and we have to keep doing that, where we're playing really good and really hard in defense.
The women's wheelchair basketball at Paris 2024 began with a Group A clash between Spain and Great Britain. A repeat of the 7th, 8th place playoff from the previous Paralympic Games. Players and supporters from both sides hoping for a more productive tournament in Paris. Team GB, the European silver medalists, went into the game as favourites and showed their superiority early on. Jade Adkin scoring and drawing the foul. Spain needed to respond, and Sonia Ruiz provided some respite. The same player involved in a clash of chairs later in the game, demonstrating the physicality of the sport. Her efforts, though, in vain, as GB led 20-9 after the first quarter. Adkins scored half of GB's early points and maintained her form after the break, adding another 9 in the second quarter, the forward finishing off a nice team move here. Great Britain 20 points clear by half-time. With such a deficit, the Spanish had to start the third quarter strongly, and did so. Isabel Lopez with her first points of the game. But Team GB continued to dominate. Joy Hazelden gliding through for a solo basket. Amy Conroy was introduced to great effect, scoring with each of her first 3 shots. Her family in the stands to celebrate the basket. Team GB began the final quarter with a lead of 27 and further extended their advantage through Robin Love, who would finish with 16 points. The British going on to complete a comfortable victory at the Bercy Arena, 69 points to 34.
It feels amazing, it feels such a good vibe. Honestly, I'm so happy right now. It was such a good game to have started with. Just our all-togetherness, I think. I think we just all back each other 100%, and the vibes on the bench was amazing. Like, all I could hear was people cheering on. It was just such a good thing to have someone backing me.
The South Paris Arena saw para-table tennis doubles events return to the Paralympics for the first time since 1976. First up in the women's event were the #1 seeds, Ate Sikdalen and Merete Tveiten of Norway. They faced the Egyptian pairing of Hagar Al-Sayed and Hannah Hamad of Egypt. This event is a straight knockout, so whoever won in the best of 5 games would progress to the semi-finals. The Norwegians started strongly, taking the first game 11-8. They continued to pile pressure on the Egyptians to take the match in 3 straight games. They would progress to the bronze medal match. Laurent Devos of Belgium had won gold in the singles at both Rio 2016 and Tokyo 2020. Playing in black, he was paired with Marc Ledoux, with the hope of adding a doubles title to his name here in Paris. They faced the Ukrainian pairing of Viktor Duduk and Maxim Nikolenko, with a place in the semi-finals at stake. The Belgians got off to a good start, taking the first game comfortably 11-5. But the Ukrainians dug deep in the second. A nail-biting rally at game point brought them level at 1 game all. But the Belgians were more consistent overall and took the match by 3 games to 1. The mixed doubles competition also made its much-anticipated debut, adding a fresh dynamic to the tournament. Great Britain and Nigeria making history as the first teams ever to play mixed para-table tennis doubles at a Paralympic Games. Also making history, Bly Toomey, at 14 years old, the youngest player competing in the tournament. Great Britain were the first to reach match point, 10-5 up in the 4th game. But a long return from Joshua Stacey gave Nigeria the point. Toomey would serve for the match. An error on the return by Nigeria sealed their victory. Great Britain progressed to the round of 16.
Boccia is one of the Paralympic sports that does not have an Olympic counterpart. Originally developed for people with coordination impairments, Boccia now includes athletes with various eligible impairments. 2 sides compete against each other as individuals, pairs or teams of 3. One side gets 6 red balls, the other gets 6 blue balls. A coin flip determines which side plays the white ball or jack on the court and the first ball. To win, players must get the most balls closest to the jack. The team furthest from the jack keeps throwing until they get their ball closest or run out of balls. Boccia requires pinpoint accuracy and strategy. Players can knock any ball to gain the advantage. They compete in wheelchairs within 4 classes, depending on the impact their impairments have on their ability to perform. BC1 athletes have an assistant to manoeuvre the wheelchair and play the ball with their hands or feet. BC2 can throw without assistance. In BC3, competitors have significant impairments in their limbs and trunk. They can use a ramp, a pointer, and get support from their ramp operator, who also receives a medal when they win. In BC4, players have impairments affecting all limbs and trunk, but don't have a coordination impairment. No matter a player's abilities or techniques, it only takes one ball to make the difference. Eight days of boccia action got underway at the South Paris Arena with individual matches for men and women. The first session gave spectators the chance to see Paralympic champion David Smith of Great Britain in action. He took on Brazil's Jose Oliveira in Pool A of the BC1 category. Smith, using the blue balls, was quick to find his best form. He aimed to get closest to the white ball or jack, so that shot was the ideal start, and he went on to take a 1-point advantage after the first of 4 ends. He added 2 more points in the next, but Oliveira responded in end 3. His final throw missed the target, but he'd done enough to get back in the game. After careful measurement, 2 points went to Oliveira, and with just 1 end remaining, it was 3-2 to Smith. But he was the player with greater Paralympic experience. He'd won this category at both Rio 2016 and Tokyo 2020 and controlled the final end. Oliveira had thrown all his balls, so that shot was enough to claim overall victory for Smith, but he added 1 more point with a successful final throw. A good start to the defence of his title from David Smith of Great Britain, thanks to a 5-2 victory over Brazil's Jose Oliveira. Boccia players compete in wheelchairs in 4 different classes, depending on the impact their impairment has on their ability to perform. Next came a match in the BC2 category. It featured another player who was looking to retain his Paralympic title, Japan's Sugemura Hidetaka. His first opponent, Lan Jijian of the People's Republic of China. Sugemura took points in each of the first 2 ends, but Lan found his accuracy in the third. That shot seemed to give the Chinese player the edge, but as the end developed, Sugemura regained control and he eventually added 2 more points to his overall lead, which was now 4-0. There was no way back for Lan, who opted for power with his final throw of the last end. 1 more point to the defending BC2 champion, and he'd beaten Lan comfortably. The final score, 5-0. In the women's BC4 category, world number 2 Alison Levine of Canada played Hannah Elfar of Egypt in Pool B. And a great start to the match for Elfar, who was making her Paralympic debut. She picked up 2 points in the first end, but the advantage didn't last long. This throw gave Levine 3 points in the next. Now she had a slender lead to cling to. She extended it to 4-2 in the next end, but the contest was heading for a tense finish. With the final ball of the match, Elfar needed 2 points to level things up. A good shot from Elfar, but 1 point wasn't enough. And Alison Levine of Canada won the match 4-3. One of the last matches in the first session featured 2 players representing Great Britain. William Arnott and Patrick Wilson, both hoping for a successful run in the BC3 classification. In this category, players can use a ramp, a pointer, and get support from a ramp operator. Wilson was releasing the red balls and he took a narrow lead after the first end thanks to this shot. 1-0, but at the midway point of the match the scores were level. Arnott with the accuracy this time. Nothing to separate the 2 players, but the crucial moment of the match was this shot in end 3 from Wilson. It would earn him 4 points and a 5-1 lead with just 1 end left. Arnott needed something special with his last ball. The shot confirmed that he picked up 2 points from the final end, but it wasn't enough. His face told the story. Patrick Wilson had won the battle of friends and teammates by 5 points to 3.
One of the highlights of the opening day of the Badminton was a mixed doubles meeting in SL3 SU5 category, with the Indonesian pairing of Liani Oktila and Hikmat Ramdhani took on Lucas Mazur and Faustine Noel of France. Oktila and Ramdhani are a new partnership. Oktila was a gold medalist with a different partner in Tokyo 2020, having beaten his French pair. And the Indonesians combined well here, winning the first 7 points.
7-love.
French improved, but a fantastic rally here went the way of the Indonesians to take the opening game in just 11 minutes.
Game.
It was closer in the second game. This point by the French taking the score to 10-8. But the Indonesians showed why they're one of the favourites for the gold medal, winning an incredible 11 of the next 15 points. A straightforward win for the top seeds. In the women's doubles, WH1, WH2, Japanese pairs Tomi Serena and Yamazaki Yuma face Jung Jae-ul and Kwon Hunan from the Republic of Korea. The Japanese won gold at the last games in their own country and showed their experience here. This delightful lob from Satomi helped them take the first game 21-9. While 6 consecutive points at the end of the second saw why the Japanese are favourites for gold once again. Elsewhere, there was a surprise in the men's doubles WH1, WH2 as the top seeds Choi Jungman, Kim Jung-yeon in blue lost to their Korean compatriots Jung Jae-gun and Yu Soo-young 2 games to 0. The gold medalists from Tokyo 2020, Mai Jianpeng and Xu Zimo from the People's Republic of China, made no such mistake though. They beat Rick Cornell-Hellman and Thomas Van Schneider of Germany 21-11 to 21-17.
Game.
In the men's singles, SL3, Great Britain's Daniel Bethel took on Wojtek Šiš of New Zealand. Football manager Jurgen Klopp was on hand to support Šiš, who was close to becoming a professional footballer more than 20 years ago. But it was the world number 2 who was the dominant player, with 9 unanswered points, on the way to winning the first game 21-5.
Game.
Šiš only started playing badminton in 2021 after previously winning 7 Paralympic medals in athletics. But the silver medalist from Tokyo 2020 was in relentless form, racing into an 11-2 lead in the second game. And the British player didn't let up. After the mid-game break, he racked up 10 consecutive points for a 21-2 scoreline. A comfortable win in front of the watching clock. Silver last time out, Bethel will be looking for gold this time around.
We came here and he said, wow, look what happens when you show up here. So I feel a bit bad that I have to come. No, I have to come here to get the attention this event deserves. In Paralympics, in obviously movement, there are even more hurdles to overcome, and to show the young people and pretty much everybody what's possible, whatever life holds in their hands for you. It's about how you deal with it. It's super inspiring, and I'm fully inspired by everything I saw in the last few days.
Being in Paris for me is very special. I'm very close to the city in general because it's where I did many surgeries as a kid. Very heartwarming to be back for a different reason. I started paraswimming around 2014. I started training with some athletes which at the time were preparing for the Rio Paralympics. What they were doing to me was mind-blowing. And now I'm sharing the team with so many of them. Swimming gave me that sense of freedom that felt also almost like flying as a kid. I felt agile, coordinated, like I was dancing. I've learned that you need to take yourself seriously, but not too much, and try to enjoy the process, enjoy what you're doing. Tokyo was very different. I felt almost sick at the thought of having to get in the water. I got to a point where I was focusing myself on swimming, trying to do everything at the best. By doing that, I was forgetting probably the most important thing, which was to have fun. Now I'm way different here. I'm super happy to be here. I want to enjoy every meter, every second. And I'm quite sure that one of the doctors that did my surgeries when I was a kid is going to be in the stands watching me, so it's quite special to be back in Paris. I love this place already, so I'm keen to see what I can do here and what I can perform.
The first day of heats in the para-swimming began at La Défense Arena with the men's 400-metre freestyle S9 reigning world champion Simone Barlam of Italy taking the blocks. But it was Hugo Didier of France who pulled away from the pack, qualifying for the final in first place. Barlam will also progress to the medal race after finishing third. The women's 100-metre backstroke S2 heat featured world record holder Yip Pin Shu of Singapore. Yip's signature fast strokes drove her into a comfortable first place under 2 minutes 20. She'll go through to the final alongside neutral Paralympic athlete Diana Koltsova and Spain's Teresa Perales. In the S14 men's 100-metre butterfly, an upset after Tokyo 2020 Paralympic champion Gabriel Bandera was chased down by Denmark's Alexander Hillhouse. They'll face off again for a medal in the final. Meanwhile, in the S13 men's 100-metre butterfly, heavy hitters matched up with neutral Paralympic athlete Ia Boki meeting France's Alex Portal. The French swimmer was just ahead at the 50-metre mark. But Boki surged on the second lap and took the race. He and Portal both moved through to the final. In the first heat of the women's event, the United States of America established their dominance. Team USA's Grace Newfer moved well ahead of the field. She finished 2 body lengths ahead and logged a quick 1 minute and 3 seconds, taking first place. She and her teammate Olivia Chambers will meet Italy's Carlotta Gilli for what's sure to be a fast-paced final after she won her heat comfortably. S9 swimmer Alexa Leary was one to watch in the S10 women's 50-metre freestyle. There was tough competition in her heat. Chen Yi of the People's Republic of China looked strong in the opening 25 metres, but Leary pushed back, clocking an impressive 27.69 second swim. The second heat featured another S9 athlete, the United States of America's Christy Raleigh Crossley. The Olympic debutante reached the wall in world record time, a blistering 27.28 seconds.
Oh, it's so special. My 3 kids are here in the stands. I was looking up for them before the race, and it's just awesome to be able to do that in front of them. I'm just super grateful for the Paralympic movement. There are definitely times during my journey where I just didn't see where the path was forward, and being able to see somebody who's similar to me and know that, oh, that's eligible, gave me a whole new world, gave me a whole new life.
The opening session of the para-archery competition at Les Invalides featured the women's and men's W1 ranking rounds. The W1 athletes fired a total of 72 arrows from a seated position, using a compound bow with some mechanical aids and magnified sights. The scores from the ranking round are used to determine the order of the tournament seedings in the later knockout matches. With the 80cm wide target 50 metres away, only the central 8cm segment would be worth 10 points, making the maximum score 720. Chen Minyi of the People's Republic of China is the defending women's W1 Paralympic champion. She hit the 10-point segment 25 times, on her way to a personal best score of 650 points. Top of the leaderboard at the end of the session, though, was Sharka Pulta-Musilova of Czechia. Her 27 tens helped her to score 659 points. A new world record. Chinese athlete Zheng Qianxin was also in a record-breaking mood. His score of 674 was a men's Paralympic record. Bahattin Hekimoglu of Turkey was his closest challenger, 13 points behind. Czechia's defending champion David Drahoninski posted the third best score with 657 points. The scores of each country's best male and female athletes were added together to create the seeding for the W1 mixed team event. The People's Republic of China led the way with the best mixed team combined score, ahead of Czechia and Italy. But it was Sharka Pulta-Musilova's individual world record that was the standout moment of session 1.
Goalball is exclusive to the Paralympic Games and exclusive to athletes with vision impairment. Matches are fast and tense. Players must score goals quickly and defend shots with their bodies. Each team has 6 players, with 3 members playing at any one time. Athletes have a varying degree of vision impairment. In this sport, competitors all wear blackout eye masks to equalise the level of vision between all players. Each match has 2 12-minute halves. The 9-metre goal spans the width of the court, and the court lines are slightly raised so players can feel their positions. The ball has bells inside, and the crowd must be silent so players can hear where the ball is. In an attacking position, players can bounce or spin the ball past their opponents to score. For a throw to count, the ball must touch the floor on the team area first and then on the neutral area. A bad throw or fault is punished by a penalty. This player must defend the goal alone. Goalball requires toughness because the only way for players to defend the goal is by blocking the ball with their bodies. If a block is successful, players have 10 seconds to return the attack. The team that scores the most points or leads by 10 goals wins.
At the South Paris Arena, the goalball competition got underway with a meeting of two Asian nations. Tokyo silver medalist, the People's Republic of China, came up against Japan, ranked 6th in the world. The opening stages were close, both defences on top, until China finally made the breakthrough. Yang Min Yuan with the penalty. And that sparked the match into life. Japan soon tied the scores and then went in front. Miyashiki Koji with a great goal. Not though for long, back came China, back came Yang. 4 more goals for him, as China led 5-3 after a topsy-turvy first half. And if that half was entertaining, well, the second was just as good. Japan struck early, but Hu Mingyao's goal restored China's 2-goal lead. Their opposition, though, wouldn't be denied. Kaneko Kazuya made it 6-5, and then drew Japan level moments later. Too fast, too powerful, too good. 6 goals all. Now, who would come out on top? With just over a minute remaining, the decisive moment. Yang with his 6th and China's 7th goal. That secured victory by the narrowest of margins. 7-6 the final score. And in the pool phase, China will play Egypt next, whilst Japan face Ukraine.
Ukraine versus Egypt in men's goalball. The Egyptians in black making a welcome return to this Paralympic event after a 32-year absence. They made a nervous start. Ukraine had scored with their first throw. Vasil Alinik giving Ukraine an early boost. Egypt went close to equalising. Saeed Awad was unlucky with this effort. The officials decided the whole of the ball had not crossed the line. Ukraine held a comfortable lead, but they had a surprise just before half-time. Omar Mohamed scoring Egypt's first goal. A moment to remember for him and his country. He could have made it 3-2. Egypt were awarded a penalty after Ukraine delayed the start of the second half. Mohamed was denied, though, by a fine stop by Alinik. Alinik was Ukraine's most dangerous player. He was always a threat. That bouncing ball deceived the Egyptian defence. Alinik's 4th goal of the game capped a superb individual performance. Egypt fought hard. A throw which spun viciously earned Omar Mohamed his 2nd goal. Ukraine held on, though, and ran out deserved winners over Egypt by 6 goals to 3 in this Pool B game.
The opening match in the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games wheelchair rugby competition saw defending champions Great Britain take on current world champions Australia in Group B. Consisting of 4 8-minute periods, tries are scored by carrying the ball over the goal line. It's both physical and fast, and contact between the wheelchairs forms a significant part of the action. Great Britain opened the scoring through Aaron Phipps, and we're in the ascendancy for the first quarter. But both teams were playing with plenty of discipline, and Australia were never more than a single try behind. Riley Batt spearheaded their attack, this score taking the game to 12-all. The first turnovers of the game came in the second period. Batt intercepted a pass from Stuart Robinson, and the following penalty try put Australia ahead for the first time in the game. But Robinson made amends moments later. He outpaced the Australian defence for an interception of his own. Jonathan Cobban, in his 6th Paralympics, duly scored a simple try to restore the Great Britain lead. An error from Ellis Applejack late in the third period gifted Team GB another turnover. Phipps went on to score for a 37-35 lead, the first time there was more than a single try in it. Chris Bond exploited some sloppy play midway through the 4th period to pull Australia to within a try once more. But when Great Britain forced another late turnover and Phipps scored his 24th try of the game, the defending champions were 3 points ahead and virtually out of sight. With the clock ticking down, they duly held on. Final score, Great Britain 58, Australia 55.
It's a massive game. Australia are a class act, and the way the pools worked last time, we didn't actually play them out in Tokyo. So to come here and that was just a really important game. Yeah. In Denmark, very similar to Australia in that they've got some really, really strong high pointers. It's a cliche, we're just taking every day as it comes at the moment. So we're going to go back, get as much recovery as we can. After that, I'll be in the ice bath later this afternoon, ready to go again tomorrow.
Yeah, we weren't really on that game, so a bit frustrating, but the difference was the last goals. Out of the 4 quarters, you score last goals. Great Britain got 3 of them. We got 1, and Great Britain won by 3 points. So there you go, last goals really cost us.
We take a lot of pride in wheelchair rugby in Canada because the sport originated on home soil in Winnipeg in the 70s. Every time we play it, we kind of keep that in the back of our mind. We've got a legacy that we're trying to create for Canada. I've been playing for 13 years now, and I think we have 40 plus countries around the world playing. But I think we need to continue to grow the sport, get some exposure. I've never met a fan who's watched the game or a spectator who's watched the game and not immediately fallen in love with it. I knew when I started playing that there was a chance that I might get to go to the London Paralympics, but when the time hit, it all happened so quickly. I was just super grateful to be there and trying to take it all in as much as possible. And I had a great group of guys to thank for that. Rio was definitely a tough pill to swallow. We came in ranked number 1 in the world, had the weight of the world on our shoulders, all kinds of pressure and expectations. And so falling just shy of a medal was definitely a tough one. Tokyo, we were just happy the games were even happening. There was so much uncertainty around that. This time around, I'm just trying to stop and smell the roses, make the most out of the whole Paralympic experience, enjoy Paris, and hopefully put on a good show for some rugby fans while we're at it. It used to be 3 or 4 teams could podium at each major event, and now any of the top 6, 7, maybe even 8 teams could end up winning a medal at these games. So I think that speaks more to the growth of the sport internationally. We're going to do everything we can, though, to get back on top this time around. It's been a little while since we've tasted that in Canada. I think the boys are hungry to get back on top, and we know it's not going to be easy. We have USA straight out of the gates, longtime rival. Both them and Japan are ranked ahead of us in our pool. but we're not going to let anybody have an easy game. So hopefully we can make it to that semi-final and bring home something shiny for Canada.
The United States of America faced Canada in their opening Group A wheelchair rugby match of the Paris 2024 Paralympic Games at the Champ de Mars Arena. The game consists of 4 8-minute periods and players score by carrying the ball over the try line. Contact between the wheelchairs is permitted and is often a crucial part of the action. The USA have claimed a medal at every Paralympic Games since the sport's inclusion, but they haven't won gold since Beijing 2008. It was Canada who opened the scoring, and they were in the ascendancy early on. Mike Whitehead, in his 6th Paralympics, scored a try to put them 3-2 ahead. But the USA rallied, and a crucial score from Chuck Aoki gave them the lead for the first time. They pushed on from there, controlling possession and moving further ahead. But Zachary Medell pulled Canada level late in the second period at 23-all. The Canadian team contained their opponents well for much of the third period, keeping the game tight, with Cody Caldwell and Medell among the scorers. But again, Aoki was the talisman for Team USA, with a couple of critical tries for them to move into a more decisive lead. He also provided the assist for debutante Sarah Adam midway through the fourth period, as she scored her 5th try for a 42-38 scoreline. Canada kept in touch, but were unable to pull any closer. Medell barrelled through for his 31st try of the game late on. Before Mason Simons eased away to score the last try for Team USA. Final score, United States of America 51, Canada 48.
Feels great, you know. Canada's a really strong side, and we knew they were going to bring everything today, and they certainly did. But we knew we really wanted to pull out on top of this one, so I feel great about it. I feel really good about the way the team played. You know, I got to say, this crowd matches the crowds we had in London. This was really spectacular today, so massive credit to all the fans who came out today in Paris.
When it comes to women's goalball, Turkey are the team to beat. They won successive Paralympic titles at Rio 2016 and Tokyo 2020, as well as being the current world and European champions. They've dominated the sport for almost a decade. But Brazil are in Paris to make history themselves, aiming to win a medal for the very first time. And they got off to the perfect start, a penalty on their first throw, scored by Manitha Lima. That penalty came from Sevda Altunaluk's error, and she was out to make amends quickly. Her effort, bobbling, bouncing, brilliant, to make it 1-1. And if the technique works, then why change it? Same throw, same result. Turkey now in front. Delight, though, quickly turned to disappointment. 2 more penalties conceded, both scored by Brazil. And now the defending champions were suddenly heading for an opening day defeat. And it could have got worse. Moments later, another penalty. This time, Lima's effort stayed out, much to the relief of the defending side. Turkey needed to find a breakthrough, and time was running out. So with less than 2 minutes remaining, though, they got it. Altunaluk found the smallest of gaps as Turkey grabbed a draw. The final score, Turkey 3, Brazil 3.
We came here to get the medal we got in Tokyo 2020 and Rio 2016. Of course, it gave us that confidence. The goal is to win the championship again. Yes, Brazil could not score a goal except for a penalty, so it gave us even more confidence. If we face each other again, we can do better and beat them.
Taekwondo is a contact sport featuring rapid and powerful kicks to the body. Matches are held in a one-round contest lasting up to 5 minutes. Athletes wear protective equipment and sensor socks, which determine if a point is scored when hitting an opponent's torso. Competitors get 2 points for a regular kick, 3 points for a turning kick, and 4 points for a spinning kick. Head kicks are not allowed and result in a gamgyeol, a penalty that gives a point to the opponent. Other fouls include grabbing, pushing, kicks below the belt, and stepping out of bounds. Athletes can win a fight in several ways, having a 30-point lead, an opponent getting 10 gamgyeos, or having the most points at the end of time. If there is a tie, athletes enter the golden round, with the first fighter to score 2 points winning. If there is still a tie, then judges will decide the winner. At Paris 2024, Para-Taekwondo will feature the K44 sport class with athletes with impairments in one or both upper limbs. They'll compete against other fighters in the same sport class and weight category. There are 5 weight categories for men and 5 for women. Confidence, accuracy and respect are needed to reach the top of the podium.
Day 1 of the Para-Taekwondo competition at the majestic setting of the Grand Palais. All athletes competing here in Paris are in the K44 category, and there were semi-final places available in the afternoon session. In the women's under 47 kilo competition, the top seed, Claudia Romero from Mexico, was disqualified for unsportsmanlike behaviour. She was just 31 seconds into her quarter-final with Morocco's Nawal Larif when this kick to the head saw the contest brought to a premature end. Peru's Angelica Espinosa won the gold medal in the under 49 kilo category in Tokyo 3 years ago. She's backed that up by reaching the last 4 in the under 47 kilo competition here in Paris, winning by 19 points to 9 in her quarter-final against Mariam Deroy of the Islamic Republic of Iran. In the men's under 58 kilo category, Asaf Yashur of Israel came into the competition as the top seed. He was too good for Thailand's Panwar Kankan, reaching the semi-finals with a 23-6 victory. Kankan, along with all the beaten quarter-finalists, still have opportunities to reach the medal matches as they move through to the repechage. That won't be necessary for the reigning world champion in the women's under 52 kilo category though. Mexico's Jessica Kiano booked her place in the semi-finals with a narrow 10-8 win over Kazakhstan's Milana Kasatseva.
La numéro 1 mondiale sera au rendez-vous des demi-finales. Going through to the semi-final, the score of 10.
My name is Georgina Grenon. I am the Director of Environmental Excellence for Paris 2024. This village is an eco-district that has been built, and Paris 2024 is the tenant for a few months. We want to make these games an innovation laboratory. This was an opportunity to show what France is capable of, what French companies are capable of producing. And that's why we wanted to test a number of things. These purifiers are an example. This is a new technology to filter the air, clean the fine particles, and emit air. Very, very pure air that you can breathe. Then there's a floating solar power plant. This is the first time that such a plant has been installed. It's temporary. It can divert from its primary function and go and serve other needs. For example, in the event of a power failure elsewhere in France.
Nous avons aussi testé
We also tested a system made from seashells.
avec des coquillages.
They are joined together, and this allows rainwater to store inside.
L'eau de pluie
When it's hot, the water circulates and evaporates, generating a cool sensation. This helps combat the heat islands that can be found in cities. We thought about the needs of a normal person in 2050, where you will have to adapt. We will have to change the construction of buildings to the comfort level required with climates that are perhaps warmer than we are used to here in France. That's why the buildings were built in a certain way. It allows you to recuperate fresh air from the Seine. There are shutters and the glass in the windows which have been treated differently, and water systems that circulate through the floors, which cool the flats. So for normal people like you and me, who are going to live in these flats, we will have a lot of comfort, much better than you would find in any flat in Paris today.
The first match of the sitting volleyball competition saw Brazil take on Rwanda in Pool B of the women's competition at the North Paris Arena. Teams need to score 25 points to win a set, with the first team to reach 3 sets winning the match. Bronze medalists in Tokyo, Brazil want to go at least one better in Paris, and after wasting 3 set points, the reigning world champions in yellow finally clinched the first set by 25 points to 13. Rwanda needed a strong start in the second set, but instead the African champions trailed 9-0 early on. And although they rallied, the South Americans cruised to a 25-10 win in the second set. Trying to reach the gold medal match for the first time after taking bronze in both of the last 2 Paralympics, Brazil wrapped up a fine start to their Paris campaign and taking the third set 25-7 to secure a comprehensive win by 3 sets to nothing. Rwanda, meanwhile, is still seeking a first victory in the group stages of a Paralympics. The second game of the day saw the first match in the men's tournament and the entry of Bosnia and Herzegovina, who have been on the sitting volleyball podium at the last 6 Paralympics. The European champions were facing their African counterparts, Egypt, who saved 3 set points before winning their first to take a dramatic opening set. The second set was equally hard fought, with the Bosnians, who had once trailed by 9 points, coming back to level it up at 1 set all. And the 2-time gold medalists continued to show their grit when edging the third set by 25 points to 23 to move a set ahead. Egypt led early in the fourth, but Bosnia kept them close before moving ahead and ultimately closing out a thrilling start to the men's competition with a 3-1 victory.